hurt by an immigration policy.
Okay, media missing it again. It is correct that President Obama had good quarters of 3%, 4%, even 5% growth. He hit it at one time, but averaged out. Other poor quarters dragged that number down. Basically, it was trending around 2.5% average over the Obama years. In many quarters, less. Some say 1.8%. There's math there. There's different math, but we're just bringing you the facts. The analysis also missing the fact that consumer spending, tax cuts, business investment, and yes, spending of your tax dollars by the federal government combined outpaced the soybean bums rush out the door story. It's also missing this analysis as well that 6.6 million jobs still need workers to fill them. Let's bring in Independent Women's Forum visiting fellow Mattie Duppler joins me now. Media getting it wrong again. Mattie, go ahead.
You know, Liz, this isn't the first time we've seen this, right? A couple months ago when Trump released his budget, these same people were scoffing about the idea that his budget relied on 3% annual growth. Now, remember, these were the same people who had no problem with the Obama budgets relying on 4% growth, even though they were predicting that growth in times when the economy was contracting. So we know right away that there's already a bias there. But listen, if the criticism were simply that we can't look at the full economic story based on just one day of economic data, I would 100% be there. There are, of course, a lot of indicators that we have to look at. But frankly, I am sick of this pessimistic view. I don't accept that we can't have optimism when we do have good numbers, and that's exactly what we saw today.
Yeah, somehow good news is bad news. Let's go through it again. Consumer spending is about 70% of the economy. It was 2.69 percentage points of that 4.1% GDP growth number.
Yep.
Exports was just a little over just 1 percentage point. Again, exports are about 12% of the U.S. economy. That's what's missing in this analysis is that context, right, Mattie?
Well, absolutely. And I would point out on the point made earlier on one of the criticisms about this whole trade bump and these exports are really an inflated number. When you look at some of the numbers on inventories, those are down. But that indicates that there's a lot of runway then, right? Because we'll have businesses that are trying to refill those inventories, and that will spur economic growth. So this notion that this is somehow the apex of growth, I think is really misstating what's happening right now. And I would also argue that we hear a lot about how, you know, tax cuts don't do this, or the president's deregulatory agenda won't do this. There's really no analog to know that to be the case. We've had some tax cuts in the past, over the past 30 years or so. We've had some deregulatory action. We've never seen them to the extent that they're happening now at the same time.
Yeah, and
so
you
that
know
should
what?
indicate.
And optimism is a great force multiplier. I mean, optimism, confidence is at multi-generational highs for taxpayers and businesses and small businesses. Look at this, Mattie. The New York Times published an article saying today's GDP number might be too big. Can you take that on? What does that mean, too big?
I frankly don't know what too big means. If you ascribe to the notion that we somehow need to have an artificial cap on growth and prosperity in this country, sure, I guess the numbers are too big. But I look at what's actually happening here, and you are exactly right, Liz. When you look at the confidence, when you look at the numbers that reflect confidence, things like spending, business investment, you really are starting to see a story here where Americans feel like they're better off. That was one of the criticisms iterated earlier, which was that, you know, Americans feel angry. Americans don't feel angry. Americans feel like they can finally get a pay raise for the first time in years.
And you know
they feel like they can invest in their families and their businesses.
And they can go out to dinner, right? How about going out to dinner? How about that?
Exactly right. I mean, you've got hundreds of businesses that are offering bonuses and payouts to their employees as a result of tax reform. That's a couple $100, you know, right at the outside of the year. Families could do untold spending with that, and it's all up to them to be able to do so.
Mattie Duppler, we love having you on. Come back soon. Okay, President Trump, remember, he did make a lot of promises to the American people on the campaign trail. Now the president is saying, I got the list of what I have accomplished. My panel will debate it. Stay right there. Don't go away.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more.
You shouldn't be rushed into booking a hotel. With Expedia's add-on advantage, booking a flight unlocks discounts on select hotels until the day you leave for your trip. Add-on advantage, only when you book with Expedia.
Sports fans are gearing up at Fanatics.com, the world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and players you love. Shop now and get 20% off with promo code SUMMER. Fanatics.com, officially licensed everything.
Vice President Pence on